Hello, everybody. It's that time of year again. Time for our spring emergency evacuation drills. I wanted to do a quick presentation just as a refresher on how we conduct the drill, why we do them, and also talk to our special needs drivers about the requirements for a written evacuation plan. So why do we do emergency evacuation drills? Well, number one, we are required by the state of Idaho to conduct emergency evacuation drills at least twice a year. We do them once in the fall and once in the spring. Number two, we do these so that we can be prepared in the event of an emergency and our students can hopefully be prepared as well. Now, understandably, these drills are a very shortened, condensed version. We're only going to do a front door evacuation. We're not going to go out the back, but it's a good thing to get you to start thinking about what you would do in the event of a school bus emergency, an accident, or some time when you might need to get the students off of the bus quickly. So times you would evacuate the bus. Now, if you're involved in an accident and there is no threat to the bus or to the students, we're going to keep them on the bus as much as we can. It's always safer to have the students on the bus, inside of the bus, than outside of the bus. But there are some situations where you would need to get them off quickly. Number one, if you see or smell smoke. Now, a school bus can become fully engulfed in flames in less than 2 minutes. Very thick black smoke. There's lots of videos out there, and hopefully we're going to have a demonstration coming up sometime maybe closer to the start of the next school year where we're going to set a bus on fire. We can see exactly what that looks like and how quickly that bus becomes engulfed. So if you see or smell smoke, you're going to want to get off of the road, secure your bus, evacuate your bus. Also, if your bus breaks down on or near a railroad track, and by near, that would be within 15 feet of the nearest rail. Even if you don't see a train, get those kids off of the bus, radio dispatches as soon as you can. Let them know that you need to evacuate because you are broke down on a track. They will call Central Train Dispatch, get all the trains stopped. But we don't know if there is a train that is scheduled to come through there, so we need to evacuate. If you see a train coming, you're going to evacuate those students off of the bus, going towards the train but out at a 45-degree angle. So that way, if the train does hit the bus, you don't have a debris field that would strike the students. It's much safer for them. If you have a raw fuel situation, so you can smell leaking diesel fuel. Now, propane's a little bit different if you drive a propane bus, but for diesel, if you have raw fuel, you need to get those students off of the bus. If the bus is in danger of going into the water. Now, here in our district, we do have canals. They're empty right now, but they're going to start filling up again soon. So if your bus is in danger of going into the water, we want to evacuate those students. Or if at any time it is more dangerous to have them on the bus than off of the bus, we're going to get them off of the roadway. There was an accident that happened earlier this year. It wasn't here. It was somewhere in the Midwest. It was actually a school superintendent who was driving a bus. He had 30 kids on, and his bus broke down, and it stopped dead in its tracks. And where he was at, he was on a highway, but he was half on the road, half off, and there was a guardrail right next to the bus. And because he could not move the bus anymore to get it off to the shoulder, completely off of the roadway, he decided to go ahead, evacuate the students on the bus, and off the bus and wait for help. No sooner did he get the last student off, he had about 30. A semi-truck that wasn't paying attention struck the rear corner of the bus. Thankfully, the bus was empty. So where that bus was half on and half off the roadway, he could not get that bus moved. It was safer to get those students off, and he had evacuated them to, it was a grassy field next to where the bus was. So those are times when you would want to evacuate the bus, when it is more dangerous to have those kids on the bus than off of the bus. So when are you going to do your drill? Well, I did put a letter in everybody's box letting you know that the week of April 11th, the second week of April, that is when we're going to conduct those drills. I will also be putting a schedule in your box this next week outlining which schools. Now, typically this is what we do. One day is all of our high schools will do their drill. The next day, all of the middle schools. And then we have 2 days of elementary schools. Now, at some schools, we may have to have you move to a certain area, or I don't know. It just really depends upon what the bus loading loop looks like at your school. So you'll have a certain day that you do that. For elementary, we also, those 2 days, the day you're going to do it is going to depend if you are a odd numbered route or an even numbered route. So if you are S40, you will do it on one day. But if you are B33, you would do it on a different, not B, that's a bad example. M33, you would do it on a different day because you are the even and odd number days. We like to do these in the morning. Now, I do understand that it causes the buses to stack up. It may cause you to run a little bit late for your additional routes, especially on the days that you do your high school and your middle school evacuation drills. That's okay. Dispatch is prepared for that. They know those days that you're doing them. They do notify the schools that we are doing our evacuation drills, and it is possible that the buses will be running a little bit late. We can send out the Blackboard messages. If you are prepared in advance to do your drill and start talking to your kids beforehand, then the day that you do the actual drill can go pretty quick and you can get it done, get out of there pretty fast, and hopefully not be delayed on any of your other routes. So for all of our non-special needs routes, our gen ed routes, there are things that you can do ahead of time to prepare yourself and your students for the emergency evacuation drill. Number one, if you remember back to your training class, we did talk about identifying a couple of students who could be your student helpers in the event of emergency. This is going to be a trusted student, an older student in the case of your elementary routes. 2 students is ideal. Students that you need to talk to them ahead of time and say, hey, look, if we have an emergency, can I count on you for your help? And if they are willing to help you, show them some things. Show them how to pull the emergency brake. Let them pull that. You can hold your foot on the service brake, let off that emergency brake, let them pull that to feel how hard it is to pull. But tell them, okay, if something happens to me, I were to pass out, pull that brake, the bus will stop. Show them the ignition, how to turn the bus off. Show them the two-way radio. Show them how the CV speaker works. Okay, now we don't want to clog up dispatch with practice calls or test calls in, but just show them you press this button to talk, and then they will respond back to you and get what information to give as well. Also talk to those students if you have to evacuate the bus, what their responsibility would be. You're going to have one student who will stand by the front door, counting everybody as they leave, and the other student would lead the students to the rendezvous point and wait with them there. If you were doing a rear door evacuation, they would both stand at the rear door and assist the students down. So have those conversations ahead of time with those students. Also, talk to your kids. If you have a regular route, just say, hey guys, coming up next week on Monday, we're going to be doing our emergency evacuation drill. And it just can be a quick conversation when you get to the school and you're in the loading zone. Say, hey, before you get off, just kind of getting ourselves prepared for our emergency evacuation drills. I just want to point out all of our emergency exits: 2 roof hatches, 4 windows, our front door, our rear door, and just start to get them in the mindset of, hey, this is going to happen. Because on the day of the drills, we're only going to do a front door evacuation. So on the day that is your turn to do your emergency evacuation drill, as you're coming into the school, do remind the students that, hey guys, we're going to be doing our emergency evacuation drill. I need you to stay on the bus. Get into the area that you need to get into where you usually it's in your loading zone. Secure your bus, turn on your hazards so that the other buses around you know that you're doing your drill. And you're going to stand up. I recommend using your internal microphone to talk to the students. That way everybody in the back can hear you. Hey guys, okay, we're going to talk about what would happen in the event of an emergency. If for some reason we need to evacuate the bus quickly, we're going to practice how to do that. Now today, we're only going to practice going through the front door, but we also could go out the back door, out the side windows, or out the roof hatches if necessary. Now, if ever there's an emergency, you are going to leave everything on the bus. Your coats, lunches, backpacks, instruments. You don't need to take that with you. We need to get you off quickly. I am going to dismiss you row by row. You're going to come off of the bus and you're going to go stand over by, give them the landmark. It could be a basketball post, a bench area over there. Stand there and wait for me. I will come out and talk to you once we have all evacuated. Get your 2 helpers. Have one stand by the front door. You can have them count. You can give them your little thumb clicker. and say, okay, one click for every person that gets off, including yourself. The other one, you go stand over there by the basketball hoop. Everybody, this is your leader. You're going to go stand by them and wait for me. Once those two helpers are off, you're going to turn around and go backwards down the aisle of the bus, dismissing each row one by one. Uh, row one on the left, row one on the right, row two on the left, row two on the right. Don't let them just jump out and rush out of the bus. They can get clogged up. Nobody's going to move. Somebody could get seriously injured. You'll really be surprised at how fast they can actually get off of the bus when you are dismissing them row by row. You're going to go all the way to the last seat of the bus, and you're going to, as you come forward, now you're going to check every seat. You're going to do a very thorough child check. Check each seat, check the floor, make sure all the students are off. Go outside of the bus and turn around. Look underneath the modesty panel. Look at the floor of the bus. Go over to where your students are. Hey guys, thanks. You did a great job. In the event of emergency, that's exactly how we would do this. Now you can come get your stuff and you can go to class. Now, for some schools, we are going to ask you to go ahead and dismiss the students at that point. So you may have them take all of their stuff off of the bus because it's going to take a little more time to get them back on the bus to get all those items off. So for the drill, they can take their items with them. But in the event of an actual emergency, they would leave all of that stuff on the bus. If they're not wearing it, it stays on. So typically what I would do is I would say, look, in an emergency, you're going to leave all of your items. If you're not wearing it, it stays on the bus. But because we are just practicing, go ahead and take all of your stuff, meet me over by the basketball hoop. And then once I got out there, I would thank them for paying attention, getting off quickly, doing a good job. And hey, have a good day. Bye, everybody. Then they can go to class. You can get back on the bus, complete your paperwork, and continue on your route. Once you return to the yard, there will be a form that you will fill out with documentation that you've done your drill. And I am going to be tracking all of these. I will be seeing which routes have done the drills, checking up on all of that because it is state law that we do this and we have to have that documentation in your employment file as well. So for our special needs routes, we do not practice evacuation drills with our special needs students. But what is required is that every special needs route has a written emergency evacuation plan. You need to have a copy of this on the bus. The monitor, if you have a regular monitor, needs to have a copy of this, and we need to have a copy in your route file. The reason we want the monitor to have a copy is if something happens to you, the driver, and you are unable to conduct the evacuation, your monitor can do that for you. Also, because sometimes with special needs routes, you have students who require two people. Maybe you're going to have to lift them out of a wheelchair, do a blanket drag. Maybe you have a student who's a runner. And so it's going to take the both of you to get these students evacuated. So both of you need to know what the plan is and what's going on. And then when you have emergency personnel show up to help you, you can give that copy to them. They know who those students are, what their needs are, and what your plan is. So it's not just chaos. Probably more like organized chaos, but not just chaos. If you have not done a written evacuation plan before, I have some sample ones that I can provide to you. Or I also do have some papers to assist you with emergency evacuation drills for special needs. And you can come to me and I'll give those to you. And you can lay out your seating chart for special needs just to help you do that. So if you have any questions at all about how to do an emergency evacuation drill, please come talk to me or you can talk to any of the trainers. We may try to have extra help at the schools on the day of the actual drills, but we're more than happy to help walk you through anything at all. Thank you, everybody.